Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is Sridhar Chityala. This is a special broadcast because a lot of things happened yesterday. There was a conversation between Putin and Trump that lasted 75 minutes. What got discussed? What is the root cause of this latest attack that took out allegedly about 40 aircraft and more? Let's welcome Sridhar Chityala ji. We have 5 points to discuss, very important points, so stay till the end. Namaskar sir, how are you?
Namaskar. Good morning to you, sir. Doing very well and happy to be here to work through this very important development that happened 24 hours, less than 24 hours ago.
Yes, indeed. And viewers, this is the first time I think anybody is going to cover this. Even the American media hasn't covered the details that we are going to cover today. Small request to all of you to like this video and also to share this video once we finish airing with all your friends and family. A lot of important things got discussed. Also tells you how the inner workings of some of these agencies are, all that stuff and more. Sir, I'm going to, with your permission, put the slide deck and we can talk to that, sir. Over to you.
Great. Okay, I think that we go to the next slide. It's quite extraordinary, right? What transpired? Quite extraordinary that President Trump made all the efforts to reach out and call Vladimir Putin. I think there are three essential things that were discussed, but the most important and the one that took a lot of time is United States President acknowledging or saying that United States had no responsibility to the attacks that took place in Russia. That's extraordinary for him to say. He made that point that he was not responsible, and United States, his government has no responsibility, and he was not aware of it until it became fairly evident. And he may not have apologized, but he did. He took a lot of pains to say that he still trusts Vladimir Putin. He wants a peace. He wants this war to end. And the third part of the second part of the conversation, besides no accountability and the peace deal, the most important part also is that he continues to rely on the support, good offices of Vladimir Putin, especially on resolution of the Iranian matter as it relates to the enrichment of uranium, because Trump has told Vladimir Putin that Iran is in an advanced stage. I don't believe United States is going to allow any further kind of developments in this domain until Putin steps in and tries to find a resolution, to which Putin acknowledged that he would help. This is subsequently confirmed by the Russian media release that Vladimir Putin will step in and resolve in that specific matter. Now let's go to the next point. Did Trump know about the attack right under his nose? The answer is no. Is obviously there are issues that surround surround this. Now there are two important developments that one must kind of look at as to say why he did not know about this attack. There is a resolution in the House Senate that is going to be tabled by Rosenthal and Lindsey Graham to put 500% sanctions on Russia for the oil and for the war and other things, plus on Russian imports. There's also going to be countries being imposed 500% tariffs for those who are importing items from Russia. He told the Senate, especially the two leaders, Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal, please don't fuck it up. I'm at an important point in terms of finding a negotiated solution with Vladimir Putin. Let's just hold these back for a little bit of time before giving me the opportunity to find a resolution. So he's obviously a specific message to his two Senate leaders. This is very clear, something that has happened right under his nose. The second important thing, which is Steve Witkoff, who is his personal envoy, negotiating with the Russians in terms of the peace accord. Now, they were almost on the verge of an agreement preceding this incident. Almost. That document got leaked, and the contents at least revealed that Russia had agreed or working towards pulling out of the territories where it is holding position in Ukraine. That's a big capitulation. And second is, in reciprocal gesture, Russia had said no NATO membership to Ukraine, and the size of the Russian army, size of the Ukrainian army should be limited so it does not pose an imminent threat and constant kind of terrorist attacks, against Russia. So that document obviously got breached. Nobody wants this agreement to come into place. And all the indications are somebody who leaked it. We can guess, roughly guess who it could have been. And this is the reason why he took this extraordinary effort to make the call. I'm here. Peace discussion should continue. I need your help. I want you to stop this meaningless war. And unless you pull out of Ukraine, there's no way that there's going to be a resolution to this matter. So these developments and his edict to Senate point out that he was on a path of resolution, but not on a path of confrontation and attack. So the conversations quite clearly reveal that something kind of went wrong. And the indications based on all the stuff are that it had a good mark or stamp of CIA, or at least alleged CIA. And there are many groups in CIA they're within CIA. They don't kind of work together. It's conceivable one of the rogue groups could have pursued. And this is what I think also the Trump and Putin discussions focused on. And not much has been commented by the media about this, but we'll soon come to know about it.
Sridharji, there's one other school of thought that says that the whole thing was assembled in Kursk when Ukraine had some control over that area. It was there for about 18 months or so. The whole thing was assembled there, and then it got sent out via some Chechnyan rogue warriors, rebels, whatever you want to call them. And these were the ones who actually opened a company, freight company. And that freight company was the one that was tasked with taking these drones, unmanned, unmarked drones, close to the airfields. And then they had these trucks modified so that the lid could come off, and then it would be like a magazine loading. They could just load up, and fire, something of that nature. And that all this stuff would have not been possible unless some intelligence agencies were involved. And in that story, sir, this is now again stories doing the rounds in WhatsApp University. In that story, it is said that it was the MI6 that was involved in that, and which is why when Putin vowed revenge, that Keir Starmer started saying that, oh, we are going to mobilize our troops in UK and so on and so forth. So this is another story doing the round. So between the rogue agency of another rogue group of another agency or the MI6, we don't know which one, but clearly there was a lot of planning, and clearly there was a lot of subterfuge, and also because of the SALT talk agreement, the planes had to be outside. They could not be in the hangar. That was one limitation for the Russians. So somewhere they were actually playing by the rules. I mean, this is one problem, sir. The loser never plays by the rules. We have seen this thing again and again. So viewers, these are all the different theories. But I think what Sridharji makes a point makes a lot of sense. Let's go to the next topic, sir, where the CIA and DNI caught off guard.
Is obviously that, if you take a look at the various groups currently working, notably the Homeland Security, if you take a look at the FBI, a lot of things have been caught, okay, which is beyond the scope of this particular program. A lot of things have come to surface, a lot of things have been caught. So for something like this to happen, when the clear indications were that United States wanted to do direct discussions with Russia to come to resolve this matter. Okay, and the leakage of this document, as well as the other things that are going on, reveal that somebody didn't want this to happen. Three things: they didn't want this peace deal to happen. Number two, they did not want, Russia and United States colluding or collaborating in the construction of an Iranian resolution. They obviously did not want this to happen. And the third, which is even more important, to pose the question, are the European nations, are any of the European nations involved in this preparation for this type of an attack? Besides the points that you mentioned, Sree, at least two countries are being, we don't want to reveal the names, at least two countries are being discussed unofficially in the informal circles, whether they were part of the preparation and helping Ukraine in the launch of these drones. And this is again why Putin conceded that he was neither aware of such an imminent attack. Now, mind you, this guy comes from KGB. For him to make that position that he was not aware, that he has also been caught, and he has indicated that not in explicit terms, but he does suspect some of these covert groups to be behind, in collusion with at least one, if not two, European nations. So he has told Trump, as part of that discussion, the response is imminent, and there is no way any nation can persuade Russia from not proceeding with the response. The European nations believe that they could also be under the retaliatory attack from Russia. So they are preparing themselves as part of what the response would come. Ukraine believes that it's obvious that Russia is going to attack. So at its meeting in Germany with the German Chancellor, Ukraine has asked, support from, planes to missiles to the shield in response, in preparation for defending itself against this attack. So it's obviously, they know that there's going to be an attack. And the fact that some of the European nations think that they will also be attacked, forces or reinforces the suspicion that, some of these nations may be self-guilty, whether it is Germany, France, UK, time will tell. But the fact is that there is some retaliatory response that is awaited from Russia, and the nations are bracing themselves. Obviously, Ukraine has asked for that Patriot shield, and which United States has refused. You have said that we may be giving you something, but it's not. There is no question of any kind of major transaction from United States to support Ukraine to defend itself, Sree. This is the reason why some of the European nations are also suspected in the planning and execution, or planning and preparation of this attack. And it's interesting that Wesley Clark, the former NATO commander, the United States general, has said that post this attack, even Russian planes are very much part of the target. And, there was no need for him to make that type of a statement to muddle up the situation. But the fact that he has come out and openly said the Russian jets and Russian fighter planes are also legitimate targets. That's the word that he used. Legitimate targets reinforces the view this is not just Ukraine launching, but there's a set of people with covert intentions included part of this plot.
Thank you so much, sir. And on that leaked document, before we go to the next one on the NATO meeting, on that leaked document, did I hear you say that they were going to pull back from the two states that they've claimed, that like Zaporizhzhia and one other state, and just stay with Donetsk and Lugansk? Or what were the things that they were planning on withdrawing?
The document shows that from the occupied territories.
Now, what is so? Does that mean that Donbass is going to be also vacated by Russia?
It's not in the document. It's not in the document. It says the occupied territories. Ukraine, Russia will leave occupied territories. Full stop, Sriji.
I see. I see. So it is definitely escalating. Viewers, many of you kind of say, why is Trump saying this today, saying that tomorrow, and things like that. And we have always said, don't look at what he says, but do at how he acts. For example, today he has imposed restrictions on travel from 12 Muslim countries into the United States. Previous time he did 7. This time he has done 12. One of those countries, which is interestingly enough, is Myanmar. This just came about 10-15 minutes ago. Myanmar also. Yemen, Somalia, Eritrea, Iran. We know these are the usual suspects. But Myanmar also has been added, and a few other countries, 12 countries, and they are saying that 7 more are under the scanner. And Harvard will not be able to allow any foreign students for the fall semester. I don't know if the visa sections are open in various countries or not, because they were going to try and put some sort of a software in place which would check every student's social media utterances before they give the visa. So this was the new filter that the United States was working on. I don't know if that's ready or not. So I'll give you an update separately on that, because I need to do some research. Let's get back to this NATO meeting that's on the cards in Holland on June 24th, 25th. What do you think that's going to accomplish, sir? The fight is not between Russia and Ukraine. Big picture fight is between United States and the Europe, because US has been pulling itself away from the existing system when they did SOFR, special overnight something. So for what I don't remember, finance rate or something like that, and because they caught Libor cheating. Libor was caught cheating, and even though Libor had one American company, the London division of JP Morgan, but they said, no, you guys are fixing the rates and we are going to go separate ways. This happened in the first term of Trump, and now SOFR contracts are all that's being used in the United States. The European community tried attacking that, trying to bring it down. Nothing succeeded. They have come out of that unscathed. And this is what is a big picture battle. Okay, this is the bigger battle, and all the other things you are seeing are a reflection of this, as they somehow try to keep control as a bargaining chip. This is how I see it. Again, this requires me to give you 3 or 4 separate episodes, each one looking at some special segments in finance. I'll do that. I need to do a lot of preparation for that, a lot of flow charting and all that stuff. Sir, are you familiar with the stablecoin paper, the bill that is being circulated in the Congress now? Stablecoin bill.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. We're providing some perspectives and input on that. Also on the broader Digital Currency Act, Digital Assets Act. We are providing, but let's wait for some time, Sriji, on that, and we can share more details on each of those things, including commodities. Okay.
Yes,
so let's just show. We are providing input to those discussions and paper. There's a subcommittee, plus there's also Senate hearings that are going on as part of that. So we are part of a big council, and we are providing through those council input to those teams. But let's just kind of get back. So the NATO, there's 2 discussions. One, the NATO leaders discussion, which Trump is likely to attend. And the second one, which is also fairly important, is the discussions that are going on with the defense ministers and the defense secretary, 𝗥𝗘. So the story is that they want, United States wants Europe to put money on the table in terms of funding the NATO program or the NATO forces. And United States has said 5% of GDP is what you need to put in for Europe's security. No more free run. I think there's making considerable progress at the defense ministers level, but nothing is kind of cast in stone. This now unprovoked, or this attack coordinated through Europe or coordinated with Europe or otherwise by Ukraine is going to force the European ministers' hands to put the money on the table. But this meeting is going to be in Hague in Netherlands, and the Netherlands government has collapsed with the main one of the main constituents, the right-wing leader, pulling out of the government. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
Are you talking about 𝗤𝗘𝗙𝗪?
Yes, yes, he has
Okay.
pulled out. He's pulled
Sir,
out.
he
So
was to have become prime minister. They did jugaad on him, sir. That is very unfortunate. Let's get back.
the point is the woke system is very strong in Europe, which is then why more than MI6, whether it is CIA is a question mark, whether all this planning started during the Biden time, but they were they allowed time to pass for whatever reasons, or the timing was not appropriate. Now United States has not only stopped funding, but is looking to get a resolution rather than trying to finish Russia. Okay, so therefore this is the NATO point. Leading up to this meeting, there's more confusion rather than resolution on the NATO front in terms of the resolution of the budget. So where some people, again, this whole Russia-Ukraine situation is to sabotage or force Trump's hand in terms of funding NATO, saying that we may not be able to fund because we are running large-scale deficits. But based on all the indications, whether they fund or not, it doesn't matter. If they don't fund, the United States will not be supporting the funding of the NATO sources. That's the current indications from the present administration. Okay, what are Russia and US planning to do in Iran? Our final point. What are they planning to do? Very clear. Is the advanced stage of the enrichment. The belief in the US administration is either stalling, delaying, or deferring while the enrichment continues. So Trump would have no bar of it. Remember, we discussed this point around the broader Middle East deal.
There was a monologue I put out in the morning. Sorry, sir. There was a monologue I put out in the morning where I talked about Trump's red line. So viewers, you should take a look at it. It got released a few hours ago. I wanted to set that stage before we talked about it here in some more details. Over to you, sir. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you for that context. So therefore, I think that they are in the very advanced stage of the enrichment. So Trump has indicated very clearly that is not acceptable. They are going ahead with planning and execution of that event not occurring, which means obviously both Israel and United States are involved in the planning process. In terms of the deterrence mechanism, you all know what happened between India and Pakistan. So that program is not far off as far as the United States, Israel is concerned, to make sure that Iran doesn't become nuclear and have nuclear weapons in its armory. This was the final discussion that took place between Trump and Putin and Russian Foreign Ministry, Sergei Lavrov. They have released, again, a press statement saying that Russia is prepared to work with the United States and help the resolution through dialogue with Iran. Sriji? So you can see that he made extraordinary efforts to indicate to Russia that the United States is not responsible. Rogue elements are responsible. Lots of things that he has done preceding that within his own party and through his own personal envoy points to that United States and Russia wanted to have a deal and facilitated. He didn't want this war to go on. But there are fringe elements within United States which would not like to see a peace or a peaceful deal between Russia and Russia and United States.
Sir, there are murmurs that even Mr. Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, is playing for the other side. I don't know how true that is. Again, viewers, I listen to a lot of podcasts with various theories. Some of them are way out there, but they have data to prove their point. That's where it gets very interesting. I don't just take them at face value. They start saying, look, this point, ergo this is the thing. So viewers, on Pakistan, India and United States, the interdynamics, why this pause in hostilities, all that stuff, we're going to do it on Sunday. with Sridharji at 7 p.m. IST. And that's going to be as compelling a presentation as this one, because there's a lot to cover there. We are all looking at it from India's perspective. This one will be a little bit more 360 degrees as to what really happened there, why US came in the picture, this F-16 hangar blowout and all that good stuff. That will be on Sunday. And now let's take a few questions, Sridharji. Vijay Kumar Srivastava wants to know, Ukraine drone attack on Russia airbase doesn't raise a finger on vulnerability of Russia defense system and army?
Of course. Russian defense systems and army, that's the fact that a small nation like Ukraine, against a superpower, at least from an armament and armory point of view, reflects that there are a lot of holes in the Russian system. That's number one. Number two, I think we have covered this, Sriji, in one of the programs, that many of the people, who are from reserves, they do not want to fight the war. Many of them either been underpaid or not paid, etc. So this is the second part of the story. So to what extent the Russian army is prepared? They may have the technologies, but to what extent the Russian army itself is prepared to fight raises a very big question mark. The third point is Russia also focused on the inner perimeter around Moscow because fearing kind of an imminent takeover, either by rogue elements or by even more aggressive elements, all leaves more questions than answers in terms of the state of Russia. The economy is not in great shape. That's the truth. Where is the money? Has the money been diverted? Because they have earned extraordinary amount of money through energy sales, both gas and oil, over the last 3-4 years. But what's happened to the money? It's a big question mark.
Next one, please. Srinivasan Iyengar wants to know, Sri, don't you think Bharat's self-respect is more important rather than having fake and hollow relationship with particularly USA in the past and current context? Srinivasan Iyengar, why do you think India kowtowed to Qatar on the Nupur Sharma issue? Where is the self-respect there? Think about it.
Sorry, I think that you have hit the fundamental question, fundamental answer around this emotional and pride versus diplomatic compromise on one front, Sriji. I would urge people to look at FDI, foreign direct investments, going from 2014 to 2024. What has happened historically when the markets opened up post-reforms, and what has happened from 2014 to 2024. The numbers will tell you the stark reality of how much United States has pumped money into India. Okay, that's number one. Number two, study the bilateral trade between India, United States versus India, China. With China, India runs a deficit of $100 billion. With US, it runs a surplus of $42 billion. So if you ask the question, who is the most hostile country to India? It's China. But nobody asked the question, why India is not doing anything about it with China, but they want everything to be done against the United States. Okay, when United States, go back to the prior Trump years, 2016 to 2020, when India was threatened, recall Mike Pompeo, the state secretary, recall Trump's support, the amount of support that India received on various fronts, including the satellite imagery, which showed that the Galwan attack was about to happen or was imminent, etc. So therefore, I think that you need to look at this geopolitics not in a rational context, but some of the nuances that happened during that period of time, Sriji. That would be my answer.
Sir, to add to what you said, I have written this in PGurus.com. When I used to still write articles in PGurus.com, now I'm out of time. So viewers, I just do videos now. It's easier to do the video than write an article. Article takes a lot longer. So I had mentioned two data points there. One was Russia deliberately misled India when China was massing troops, saying that they are doing only exercises. Second thing is, there was an independent intelligence report from an officer of the ITBP, Indo-Tibetan Border Police. This is not Indian Army. It's a separate organization that was patrolling many parts of the LAC, and one of the officers had said that China is getting ready to attack India. Now, that group, ITBP, does not go directly to the Defense Department. It goes to the Home Ministry. In the Home Ministry, it is alleged that a joint secretary got that paper, printed it out, locked it in his cupboard, and didn't talk about it for 2 to 2.5 weeks, by which time China had already entered. And when Modi came to know of it, that's when he really got mad. Although I'm told that rascal is still sitting in that same position, and the person who actually gave the correct report got transferred. This is what happens in India, sir. Good people get punished for doing their job.
Exactly.
Sometimes I just get blown away. If I, sitting halfway across the world, know these things, how is it that the PMO doesn't know this? So there is something inside the PMO also working against the PM. He needs to understand this. Anyway, let's get past this point. Point I'm trying to make is that not everybody is always acting in good interests of India. They also have their own self-interest in view. So just take it from that. Also, viewers, go back and see how is it that India's current exchange reserves shot up to, I think, what, 700 billion now? And you go and look at March 2018 is when the Iran deal was stopped by Trump and sanctions came back on. India was getting oil from Iran, and Trump matched the terms. If I remember correctly, not only did he match, he also promised FDI, and that came in. That is the reason why India is sitting on $700 billion now in current account. There are many things that are happening, but again, many of you will say we cannot trust United States. Don't look at what they say, look at what they do and what they did. Next question, please. MP wants to know, Trump saying he doesn't know his code for the CIA is not in my control. Appears like Trump is all but being deep state's puppet. There is an ominous continuation of US foreign policy. MP, don't jump immediately, okay? That's why we did this program, to tell you that there are some rogue actors in play. You can't stop the rogue actors. How many Mission Impossible movies have come? 8. Bourne Identity, 5. And it just goes on. James Bond series. These are all the things where they tell you about rogue actors. Sir, you wanted to answer this question?
No, I think you have you've given a great kind of response, but that's why we gave 3 indicators. Okay, leading up to this call, 3 indicators. 1, he had stopped Senate. He had given a specific indication to the Senate to defer the bill. If he was that keen, he would have said, okay, put 300%, 500% sanctions, and let's go ahead with it. Number 1. Number 2, he continued to use his envoy, personal envoy, Sree Iyer, to have dialogue with Russia, okay, and come up with a framework. He's made a number of statements, which is to say, why is this guy attacking civilians? This killing must stop, and we must come to a resolution. Why is he gone to Russia to ask for resolution on Iranian matter, when he could have as well used Qatar and Saudi Arabia? He knows that Qatar and Saudi Arabia will not cut deal with Iran. If there is a country that is going to cut deal with Iran, that is Russia. Same with Syria. It's Russia, Syria. So the story is that you may question his intent, you may question his integrity, but as far as his actions are concerned, and the actions preceding that prove to be different.
Next one, please. Vishnu Gopi wants to know, is Britain and Serbia on Russia's target?
No, I don't know.
They are guessing the 2 countries you said, sir. Your guess is as good as mine. Arvind wants to know, earlier SEC was going after crypto startups like Ripple. Has SEC changed that position? I know the answer for this. Sridharji, you know better answer than mine. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think that the two different regimes. Okay, so let's kind of, there are two different regimes. Each regime has a different set of principles. SEC under the Biden administration under Janet Yellen had a different set of principles. In the case of the Trump, they accept that the crypto is the inevitable part. David Sachs now is the appointed crypto czar. So they say that there's enough money flowing through the system and there's enough money held back. So they have to come up with at least a broad governance framework so this can be captured. And many people within the Trump administration believe that 3 to 5% of the alternate assets that people hold, especially ultra-rich hold, is in the crypto space. The stablecoin legislation is, and the digital assets legislation, all will focus on that. We'll do a separate program rather than on this Russia, United States, and Ukraine program.
Yes, indeed. Also, just to touch upon that, Ripple, I think they have settled now, if I remember correctly. They have settled that case now.
Yeah, they have.
Viewers also remember Biden was losing his cognitive abilities fairly early in his term, and it is believed that auto pen, which means his signing authority, was split up among many people, and it is believed that crypto related stuff was given to Elizabeth Warren, a senator. Nasty piece of work, I can tell you. And this person was the one, and she's dead against crypto. Between Bernie Sanders and Warren, it will be a very tight contest as to who is more progressive. Regressive is how I see it. But between the two of them, they have done a number on US. So she was supposed to have been the one controlling the auto pen. This is again news. It will come out more. Susan Rice is the one that we had pointed fingers at. Sridharji, if you remember the DGIs of those days, that she is the one carrying the bidding of Obama and deep state. So lot of nasty stuff took place. I don't know how much of that is going to see the light of day in this administration. Certainly look no further than that as a motivation for trying to hold Ripple back. She personally appears to be against this. I don't know why. And these are too arrogant to take questions from us.
She's got a deputy who is an Indian American who is advising her on all these matters, Sriji.
Well, we've seen Indian Americans, sir. Right now, Indian Americans are not really in good light. The MIT president comes out and says some stuff, and that is going to ruin her career for life. Amrita,
Colombia is also in the thick of things, Sriji.
Yes. Amrita Ivaturi wants to know, what can Pakistan do with new UNSC chair and vice chair appointments? Shall we answer this thing in our Sunday thing, sir? Because that's not in this. Amrita, we'll come back. Please come back on Sunday. We'll give you the answers for this and more. But there's a much bigger thing at play, including World Bank 40 billion loan. We're going to touch upon that too. What factors were involved in that? I mean, you fight for 500 million and suddenly somebody showers largesse on you, 40 billion over 10 years. Do whatever you want. What the hell is going on? Prashant Sundar wants to know, sanctions have had no effect on Russia. I believe IMF and World Bank should be sanctioned for funding terror. Your thoughts, please.
This is geopolitics, folks. And you need to look at how these organizations were created. This has been, but this is a lesser battle on a prioritization from President Trump. All the institutions created post-World War II are defunct and redundant and serve no purpose. Doesn't matter whether it is IMF, World Bank, whether it is WHO, whether it is United Nations, whether it is what you call this international court in Hague. You can name many of these institutions. They have all outlived their existence. They are irrelevant for today's times.
Next one, please. Geetanjali Rajaram wants to know, thank you for bringing in the latest news then and now. How do we know that Trump is not playing a double game trying to twist Putin's hand but acting as if he doesn't know?
No, I think we have given not just the structure of the conversation and the purpose of the conversation, plus he has had a personal envoy working, plus we have indicated what he was trying to accomplish. And we have also given the formal briefing that he gave to the Senate and the Senate leadership of the Republican Party, as well as to the Foreign Relations Committee and the Secretary of State as it relates to the Iranian matters. So therefore, there is nothing that that points out that he is acting against the wishes. I forgot to mention Doug Collins, the past president of Veteran Affairs. I think Veteran Affairs. He also has come out in support by saying that speaking with Trump demonstrates United States' willingness to have a dialogue to resolve, rather than the surreptitious surrogate battles or invisible battles that you play in a deceitful manner. So there's nothing that points out that Trump is acting anything other than in a manner to resolve this, rather than continuing this meaningless exercise, because the United States has very clearly stopped funding Ukraine, unlike the Biden's regime, which continued to fund. And he said, I'll continue the war because you are giving me money.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Rajendra Singh Sethi, for becoming YouTube member. That brings us to a close of today's program. Sir, 40 minutes flew by. I didn't know where it happened, but I think we covered a large gamut of information. And I felt that we had to come in today because this is something that happened yesterday. And then on Sunday at 7 p.m., we'll be covering India, Pakistan, and United States. What is United States involvement? What happened? All that stuff. We're going to give you some backfill data that you probably have not got from anybody else. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, Sriji. Nice to be with you today, Sree.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.